Louis Riddick, he's been talking choppy. He's been talking choppy about the Lions for a while now, and he sentiments JB and Lindsey Hunter's statements. He said today on ESPN, the Detroit Lions are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And the public seems to agree with him because they are the most bet team to win the NFC. Chris, can you throw up that graphic for me?
Throw it up.
Watch it on follow. Per, I believe it's BetMGM.
Yeah, BetMGM.
What does I say?
35.8.
35.8% of the bets are on the Detroit Lions to win the NFC at, what is it, plus 800?
Plus 850.
Plus 850. So the most money is on the Lions. And Louis Riddick agrees with that. He says they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Do you agree with him?
Super Bowl?
Super Bowl contenders.
Super Bowl contenders.
Yes.
Do I have to give you my honest answer?
Yes. I'd like your honest answer.
I don't know.
What was that?
I don't know. We've been on record saying this multiple times, and I know I'm going to catch hate for it, but I don't see Jared Goff in that light. I really don't. I think everything would have to go right for that situation to fall into place, and that's not saying Jared Goff is a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. Jared Goff is more than capable to leading some wins and playoff victories, but I think we've seen multiple times throughout his career when it comes down to it, he's absent more than present in the moments it takes to win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I think when you pick out your Super Bowl winning teams, you pick out the ones with like certified quarterbacks or certified coaching staffs, which I do believe we have. But that's the type of teams you mentioned, the teams with the Jalen Hurts now as in that club, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. Those are the type of guys. I think we can contend for one. I think it'd be similar to like a 49ers situation where a Jimmy G helps you fall flat in those moments. Could they make it to the Super Bowl? Yes, and I obviously hope to God they do. Could contender as winning, or contender as just playing in the Super Bowl?
Contenders.
Fuck it. Actually, I can see them making it in there. Yeah, I just don't know.
Are they legitimate Super Bowl contenders?
If they address interior defensive linemen, yeah. I'll take the step off the deep end and I'll start talking Super Bowls.
Isaac Lee said Jared Goff. Goof. The majority of the public,
yes,
bet on the Lions to make the Super Bowl. Louis Riddick, a very smart, very well-versed ESPN analyst, had GM interviews, always has GM interviews. Calls the Lions a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Lindsey Hunter,
champion himself, lifelong San Francisco 49ers fan. Yeah.
One of the most historic franchises in the NFL that knows nothing but winning. Says Lions fans should be talking Super Bowl. JB Smooth, our very own, the Lions homer, mainlining Kool-Aid himself, put money on
Kool-Aid.
the Detroit Lions to win the not to win the Super Bowl, to make the Super Bowl.
Hey, yo, calm down.
And you're asking me, or I'm asking myself at this point, if I believe the Detroit Lions are legitimate Super Bowl contenders, I'm going to say fuck yeah. I'm going to say fuck yeah, I do. If you are, which we all believe them to be, as Lions fans, as what we saw last year, as what we saw at the end of the season, a top, at the very least, top 4 team in the NFC. That's fair? Is that fair?
Top 4, yeah.
Top 4. Very least top 4. Team in the NFC, by default, they have to be Super Bowl contenders. By default, they have to be Super Bowl
Top
contenders.
4 of a conference.
There's two halves to the NFC, or there's 2 halves to the league. NFC and AFC. So if they have top 4 odds to win the NFC, that means they have top 4 odds to make the Super Bowl. And if you make the Super Bowl, you can win it. So that makes them a contender, in my eyes. That makes them a legitimate Super Bowl contender because they will be one of 4 teams to win a division in the NFC this year.
Yeah.
There will be one team that hosts a playoff game. They are one of the best teams in the NFC, and by default, I know it's scary, It took me a while to get here. I'm not saying they're going to go win the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even putting money on them to make it. But by default, by them being this high up in the NFC rankings, they are a Super Bowl contender.
That's your default. Well, I'm thinking top 2. In AFC, you could probably talk top 4, top 3, because they have those type of quarterbacks. But it's the same situation with the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan's brilliant. That defense is brilliant. Year after year, time after time. But when they have a guy at the quarterback position that you don't really take seriously, you also never really took the 49ers as serious contenders for the Super Bowl. Now, will you have to surpass them and get past them to get there? Yes, and others have done it. Because guess what? At the end of the day, when there's a Jimmy G behind center, taking the snaps, calling the shots in the big moments, your odds are in your favor. I think they can be, again, they address the interior defensive lineman. If there's a big chunk of meat in that middle, allowing these outside edge rushers to fucking do what they got to do, I'm here for it all day, because you're talking about a 49ers-esque defensive part of it that could carry you there, help carry you there, alongside Ben Johnson, like a brilliant offensive mind of Kyle Shanahan, alongside a great defense. Then I'm there. Yeah. But until I see that part of it, bro, I'm sorry. And I'm not scared. I'm just analytic. I'm assessing what the situation as it is.
I agree. The team has a hole. You know who else had a hole?
Your girlfriend.
Your girl. And I fucking filled it.
Your mom.
You know what other team had a hole? The Cincinnati Bengals. Terrible offensive line. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow sacked 8 times in the playoffs by the Tennessee Titans.
You just mentioned the name.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Who you don't like and you don't think is good.
Nope, that's not what I said at all. Joe Burrow is one of those names, one of those quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I'm saying they had a hole. This Lions team is that you can point to one big hole. You can say you can say you don't like Goff all you want, but right now Goff is better than at least 50% of starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that gives you an advantage over half the teams in the league. You have a top 3 offensive line in the NFL.
I'm talking about the fucking upper tier.
And I'm getting there.
Echelon.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Because you have a top 3 offensive line in the NFL.
Okay.
So that gives you an advantage there over 90% of the teams in the NFL. We think we're going to have a top 10 to top 5 secondary in the NFL. That gives you an advantage over 75% of the teams in the NFL. The pressure, the sack, the edge rushers. Our edge rusher rotation, I would say, is top 10 in the NFL.
That's fair. I don't hate that.
That gives you an advantage.
That could be a topic itself. I like that.
What's up?
I said that could be a topic itself.
Yeah, edge rushing rotation. Like with the depth they have. Yeah. That gives you an advantage over 70% of the teams in the NFL. J-Mo comes back. Your wide receiving core, top 10.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too much of a stretch.
No.
You could even get higher if you want top 8.
Yeah.
Once J-Mo's back, that gives you an advantage over 70% of teams in that.
But you're talking 70%, brother. I'm talking 10%.
Ben Johnson.
Sell me on
Ben
10%.
Johnson, number 1 offensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll say.
That gives you an advantage over 99% of teams in the NFL, offensive coordinator-wise.
Okay.
We're not counting head coaches. We're not counting head coaches. All right, Kyle Shanahan, fuck off. These things add up. This team is getting this hype for a reason. And I think they finish as one of the top 4 teams in the NFC, and by default, that makes them a Super Bowl contender.
I don't think you believe that, Smitty.
I do.
I don't know if you do.
I just told you I did twice.
Yeah, but you're just lying to everybody. I think it's kind of shitty of you to do.
I think you're just scared. I think you're bogged down. I think you're crying on the inside.
I think you're setting your ways on, man.
I think you've been watching too much TikTok influencers. And they're not sending you enough Kool-Aid emojis.
Guys, I want to buy.
Like I said, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. I would not put money on them to win the Super Bowl.
Would you put money on them to go?
I would not put money on them to go to the Super Bowl.
That's contender.
No. Contender is one of the best teams in their division. Anything can happen in the playoffs.
Contender's made of chicken, you idiot.
I think the Eagles and the Eagles and the 49ers have higher odds. Mm-hmm. As they, obviously they have better teams, more complete teams.
That's your contenders.
So you only have 2 contenders in a division or in a conference?
I'll tell you. I'll put it to you this way: 2 contenders, chicken tenders, some pretenders, and some fender
Hot dog
vendors. Hot dog vendors. All within the center.
Yep. So
how I truly feel though, I know, and the reason why I honestly was stalling right there, I was trying to think of like what teams I'd label as the true contenders in the NFC.
You're only counting 2 of them.
Yes. Now the AFC is different. Like I feel like there's up to 3 or 4 in the AFC.
You don't think the Lions could beat the Eagles?
I think the Lions could beat the Eagles. I think the
You don't
Eagles,
think they could beat the 49ers?
You think they could beat the 49ers?
I think anything's possible.
That's a tough ask.
They showed last year
Yeah.
when they were at their worst.
Yeah.
Their worst. The first game of the season.
Yeah.
When the team wasn't even ready. First game of Ben Johnson's real tenure. They were missing a bunch of guys. That they could play with the Eagles. I think it's the NFC is wide open. Yeah, you have your guys that are the favorites, but I think the Lions are right. It's the top tier is the Eagles and the 49ers.
Mm-hmm. Those are the contenders. Those are the guys you can look at and take
I think
seriously.
those are the favorites.
Those are guys you can put.
I think those are the favorites
because they're the actual.
And then
contenders.
the contenders are the Lions, the Seahawks, and the Cowboys.
So in your eyes, and I'm not attacking you. In your eyes, contenders is making the playoffs.
Contender, if you win your division, you win a playoff game, you're a Super Bowl contender. Because you're only 2 wins away.
That's fair. For the Detroit
Lions. And
Lions,
that is my baseline expectation for the Lions this year is to win their division and win a Super Bowl game. Or to win their division and win a playoff game.
For the Detroit Lions to get that brand contender, they have to do exactly what you said.
And they're going to. I
They haven't
wholeheartedly
yet.
believe it.
If they get there, sure, I'll qualify them as contenders. When I think contenders, I think of guys that you truly believe in can contend for an actual Super Bowl, play in the Super Bowl game. The Detroit Lions, again, address the interior defensive line. I'll sign on with you. The Detroit Lions defense looks like everything we hope it could be this year. I'll sign on with you. But until that point, bro, I can't jump off that point in the deep end. You asked me Jared Goff against the 49ers, Jared Goff against the Patriots, Jared Goff against winning teams. As we saw last year, it weren't his prettiest performances.
Yeah.
All time.
But it's not just Jared Goff anymore.
Yeah.
Now you have the weapons. Now you have the defense. Now you have the secondary.
The defense, I believe in, as an upgrade.
So if you got the top 5 offense in the league last year, or a top 5 offense in the league last year, you add more weapons, and you vastly improve the defense. This is a team we expect to have a top 15 defense and a top 7 offense. I'd say top 5 offense, but I know you're not that high up there, so I'll say top 7.
Yeah.
So top 7 offense, a top 15, higher top 13 defense. That's a Super Bowl contender.